Councillors, officers and members of the public, welcome to the 5th of August 2026 Ordinary Meeting of Council. Councillor Ward will now read the prayer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Almighty God be with us as we work for the people of the Shire of Mirrabul. Grant us wisdom that we may care for the Shire as true stewards of your creation. May we be aware of the great responsibilities placed upon us. Help us to be just in all our dealings, and may our work prosper for the good of all. Amen.
Amen. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting. I pay my respects to the elders past and present and the Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today. In accordance with Mirrabul Shire Council's governance rules, the Council will be recording and live streaming this meeting. The Mirrabul News and Star Weekly have also been granted permission to record this meeting. We have 8 councillors present with an apology, Councillor Berry. I get confirmation of the minutes from the last meeting. I got a mover, Councillor Minari. Seconder, Councillor Bingham. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. We have no disclosure of conflict, no public question time, no petitions, presentations, deputations, there are nil. Moving along, 11.1, 2025 to 2029 Mirrabul Shire Council Plan, Progress Report, Quarter 4, 1st of April to 30th June 2026. Councillors, are there any questions? Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have a few questions, if I may.
Yep.
And I'm happy for officers to take them on notice. So I'm specifically referring to the attachment, and if, for the assistance of the officers and my fellow councillors, in particular I'm starting at page 8 on the attachments. The action was to develop a social and community planning framework for services and programs that responds to current emerging needs. I note the last update was in June. Work is underway and plans some work to be presented to Council in late 25. Target for completion date, targeted to be completed now was 100%. We're 40% complete. I was just hoping to get an update on that, please, Mr Mayor.
Lee? Ms McCullum.
Thank you, through the chair. The social and community planning framework is currently in its second year of a 4-year program under the current council plan. At the moment, the action is tracking towards 50% at the end of the current reporting year. There has been some progress made in relation to that project, which is centres around data analysis, service mapping and infrastructure, just to move towards that grant advocacy and future investment decisions. But there certainly has been some progress made with that particular action.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr Mayor. So I have a couple more, if I may. And I must say, I'm only highlighting obviously a couple where we're tracking behind. I must say, our tracking on our progress, we're either well in front or exceeding where we should be in many cases, so that's commendable. I'm just after an explanation for a couple. So the second one was again on page 9, implement relevant actions from the health and wellbeing plan. We're sitting at 75% against a target of 100%. Just after an update on that, please, Mr Mayor.
Ms McCullum.
Through the chair, so the health and wellbeing plan is tracking as per schedule. There have been a number of key initiatives achieved to date. We are in the first year of our new health and wellbeing plan. A particular note is the establishment of Council's first homelessness network, which has just recently taken place, which is quite an important initiative from the Health and Wellbeing Plan. And so that includes representation from the homelessness and welfare agencies across the region. So broadly and generally, that is tracking on targeted progress.
Thank you, Lee. Mr Mayor, one other one that I guess I'm and my fellow councillors are aware of the latest, but I know there's a lot of people in the community interested in an update. It's got progress options to deliver sustainable growth of Bungaree and the Wallace townships, and we're tracking it at 90%. And most recently, the preparation for the structure plans was taking place. Just after an update on that, please, Mr Mayor.
Henry, Mr Bazin now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for yourself. So we've got all the documentation prepared to present the report to council to get authorization to go to public exhibition. At this point in time, we're in conversation with DTP, Department of Transport and Planning. They've raised some concerns with the documentation, and we're just working through those. We'll provide an update to council at the September Growth Management Committee meeting.
Second last one, implement the relevant actions from the Arts and Culture Strategy, page 23. Where it had a target of 100%, we're sitting at 80. I know a lot of work's been done in that area though. Just after an update on that, please, Mr. Mayor.
Ms McCullum.
Thank you. Through the chair, I may need to take that one on notice, Councillor Ward, if you don't mind.
Sure. Last one, Mr. Mayor, was on page 25. It was to review the existing community engagement framework. I think we've mentioned before that under the changes to the Local Government Act, community engagement has changed. Target was 100%, we're tracking at 10. It's got work is yet to commence on this item and we'll start in late 25. Just after an update on that, please.
Ms McCullum.
Through the chair, the review of the community engagement framework is in the current council plan and is tracking for a third quarter of that council plan completion. Officers have currently commenced and are undertaking benchmarking on that one, so that will progress its way through and will no doubt come back to council in due course.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillors? We have a recommendation in front of you. Can I get a mover for that? Councillor Ward. Seconder, Councillor Minari. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 11.2, 2021 to 25 Moorabool Shire Council Plan Outstanding Progress Report, Quarter 4, 1st of April to 30th of June 2026. Are there any questions, councillors? We have Councillor Ward.
I only have one on this one, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
No worries.
And I suppose it's something that's dear to my heart, sitting on the Local Business Advisory Committee. It's to develop a set of guiding principles to facilitate placemaking, which is part of the offering to attract visitors, tourists and investment into Moorabool Shire. Again, we had an end date of June 2025, but we're sitting at 20% complete. Just after an update on that one, please, Mr. Mayor.
Ms McCullum.
Through the chair, that particular action is a carry forward from the previous council plan and will be considered as part of the implementation of the visitor economy strategy.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Question of I.
Councillor Sullivan.
Just a housekeeping one. The attachments to this the report, do they actually form part of the minutes that are recorded? All the attachments?
Governance.
The minutes will reflect the attachments.
So that, yeah, sorry. My question was, do the attachments form part? So this term I have here, that would be what gets on our website.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? So we have a recommendation in front of us. So can I have a mover? Councillor Minari. Seconder? Councillor Freeman. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 11.3, 2017 to 2021 Moorabool Shire Council Plan Outstanding Progress Report, Quarter 4, 1st of April to the 30th of June 2026. Councillors, are there any questions? We have a recommendation in front of us. Can I get someone to move that? Councillor Ward. Seconder? Councillor Kerr. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Proposed discontinuance of a proportion of government road, Howards Road in Navigators. Councillors, are there any questions? Councillor Bingham.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Question is, the 2021 to 2026 Moorabool Shire Council Plan, outstanding progress report, quarter 4, 1st of April to the 30th of June 2026. Are there any questions?
Councillor Bingham.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. You know, this has been going on for a while. Do we have an indication of when this new section of road is going to be complete after the because now we're re-advertising again. So when's all this coming to a head is basically my question.
CEO.
Through the chair, the decision to take it out for it to be considered by the public again is based upon council policy and due to the length of time that it has expired. So there would be no works. So there'd be no works until we've had the feedback from the community, because you wouldn't be completing the new road until this council has made an agreement for that discontinuance to happen, and that will be part of a further report that will come back to council once we've gone through the process of consulting with the community.
Any further questions? You move it. Seconder, Councillor Tatchell. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 12.2 Heritage Advisory Committee updates terms of reference. Councillors, are there any questions? Councillor Ward.
As the council representative on this committee, I'm happy to move this, Mr Mayor, but I do have a question. I notice on page 50 of the attachments, and this was discussed at the last Heritage Advisory Committee, that there is 2 councillors on the Heritage Advisory Committee, a chair and a deputy, and both are voting members. Now, Councillor Keogh is the deputy council representative on that committee and does a fantastic job in supporting the committee and me as chair. Is it our intention, which I would support, is it our intention to allow 2 councillors as voting members on all our advisory committees, Mr Mayor?
Governance.
Through the chair, as far as I know, the Heritage Advisory Committee has 1 primary delegate and 1 sub. The sub takes the place of the primary delegate when the primary delegate is not available for that meeting. So there is no meeting where both the substitute and the primary delegate have equal voting rights.
Councillor Tatchell.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I've got concerns that we're actually voting as when we're chairing meetings that are for committees. It hasn't really been our practice in the past. I think it creates all sorts of problems when the actual items come to council as well. So I think we need to review that within that committee, because in the past we haven't voted. We basically just chair the process.
Thank you. Councillor Ward.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I am happy to move it, but I would suggest that further clarity then is provided around 5.1E, which currently says 2 councillors of Moorabool Shire, 1 councillor and 1 deputy, and it's got in brackets after that voting members. So if that's not the intent, it just needs to be clarified.
Governance.
Through the chair, in terms of process, Councillor Ward, are you suggesting you're moving it with an amendment to 5.1E?
Happy to do so, Mr Mayor.
All right. So we have a amendment. We have a mover. Do we have a seconder to that?
No, I've got a question.
Councillor Sullivan.
A question.
Yep.
I direct you to page 51 of the attachment, 6.1, under conflict of interest and confidentiality, where it says committee members will enter into an italics pledge of confidentiality agreement at the commencement of their term. Do we do this with any other committees? A pledge of confidentiality?
We do, and I think from memory this has been discussed in chamber before. So there is a process by which there is a commitment to confidentiality.
Well, it's obvious if something's in confidential, it is confidential, but I've never seen or heard of this pledge of confidentiality.
I've heard the term used within this chamber when prior items were discussed around committees of council.
Could you perhaps enlighten me when that was, please, just for my edification, because I don't recall it?
Governance.
I recall it when community development talked about committees of council and the process by which they would have members commit to an agreement around confidentiality, and that is where that term was used. I believe from memory, and if it's not fading, I was actually asked whether I had personally used that term in governance, and I hadn't. It doesn't make it any less valid, but that is the term that was coined when dealing with confidentiality with respect of community members. That's my recollection.
Well, I don't recall that. I would, I think, because I've not seen that term, pledge of confidentiality. And does it apply to all other committees?
Governance.
Chair, I believe it does, yes. It was the same term used.
Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, but my understanding is, well, the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee has just commenced this year, and there is that pledge of confidentiality that all participants were asked to sign, yes.
Ms McCullum.
Yes, that's correct, in short.
Councillor Tatchell.
Yeah, we have confidentiality in our Business Advisory Committee for obvious reasons, but I'm not sure that it's actually noted in the terms of reference. So maybe we need to go back to all these committees and make sure that's clearly noted, because there's items that come up within these committees that are certainly confidential because they're people's private discussions they're having within that committee, and I think it's incumbent that we maintain that and maintain that cone of silence. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Councillor Tatchell. Any further questions? We have a recommendation with an amendment in front of us. Councillor Ward has moved it. Can we get a seconder to that? Councillor Tatchell. Is there anyone that opposes? All in favour? Carried. 13.1 Advisory Committees of Council Reports. Are there any questions, councillors? We have a recommendation in front of you. Cover mover, Councillor Minari. A seconder, Councillor Bingham. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 13.2 Mattingley Park Master Plan Update. Any questions, councillors? We have a recommendation in front of us. Can I have a mover?
No,
Councillor Sullivan.
no, I'm not moving. I have a
Question?
Yeah. In the proposed recommendation, why do we have point 2, which actually seems to presume that this is the best option to manage that particular site?
Ms McCullum?
The Chair, point 2 doesn't necessarily presume that, Councillor Sullivan, at this point. It's an opportunity to tighten up the scope for the purposes of undertaking a review of the master plan.
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, I would move with point 1 and 3 and delete point 2 based on that response.
Councillor Ward?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I certainly appreciate Councillor Sullivan's saying, having been a former representative of council on the advisory committee for Mattingley Park, there was always that confusion about does Mattingley Park include, for example, the tennis club or not. So I think I would be happy to move the recommendation as written, because I think as part of this review, we will need to have a clear distinction about where the Mattingley Park Advisory Committee and this master plan begins and ends, because at the moment,
Yeah.
it doesn't really clarify that.
Mr Mayor, I move the motion with the recommendation just with 1 and 3. I've already moved that.
All right. We have a mover and a seconder. Anyone opposed? Councillor Ward, Councillor Sullivan, we'll start off.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is a very important site within our shire and within Bacchus Marsh. And when you look at the map that showed on, I'll get the page in a minute, but it seems to suggest that this is the only way forward. It may or may or not be the best outcome to have that area under the whole of Mattingley Park Master Plan, but that hasn't been proven yet. And I think it's important to keep all options open to determine, well, what is the best course of action to manage that particular, that part of the site. But this seems to be, it seems to expand, it's giving direction in the thing as to what the outcome is going to be, and I think we shouldn't be doing that. We should be seeing what the options are in the administration and everything else, and ensure that we get the best outcome. Not just say, oh, well, let's expand the Mattingley Park the master plan to include that, because that may not be the best outcome. That's what I'm saying. It may turn out it will be, but we don't know that yet. And what I'm asking is the opportunity to explore all options as the best way to manage that site. Thank you.
Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Certainly understand where Councillor Sullivan's coming from, because we can't presume anything. But I think what needs to be noted here, most significantly, is we have a master plan at the moment that has there's examples of in the master plan of things that were identified as priorities that cannot be delivered for a variety of reasons, and the master plan needs revisiting. Importantly, and I say this respectfully, we have a Mattingley Park Advisory Committee, and that identifies users in the area. They've identified inadequacies in the current master plan, and they've asked for a revisiting of the master plan in certain areas, and they've asked for the scope to be reviewed to include Siberia, because Siberia was part of the master plan. Siberia will now be the aquatic centre. So will the aquatic centre be part of the master plan or not? They've asked for that clarity. And if you're going to have the aquatic centre in, do you have the Mark Stadium in? So I think, Mr Mayor, we have an advisory committee down there who has supported this recommendation, who live and breathe Mattingley Park, and Councillor Sullivan's right. We have that is a jewel in the crown, is probably, and I stand to be corrected, the most used reserve in the Shire. And the advisory committee has come to us and said, this is what we need. And I think we should be supporting their request. And if the recommendation of this review comes back that it's not going to manage an aquatic centre or mark as part of the master plan, I will support that as well. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Tatchell.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I'm not a fan of drawing a line in the sand on these things. I think Councillor Sullivan's dead right that if you exclude further options or don't continue to explore further options, you can sometimes get locked into something that doesn't have an opportunity to grow organically. So from where I sit, I fully support Councillor Sullivan on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak for or against? Councillor Bingham, are you for or against?
I'm going to speak against, Mr Mayor. I'm hearing a lot of may or may nots or bit of confusion. So I'm not against the idea at all, but considering what I've just heard, I would more than happy to foreshadow a deferral if the two motions were to be lost.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak for or against? Okay, we have a mover in Councillor Sullivan, seconder in closing argument, Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I guess what I'm seeking is to not close off any options, because this would sort of funnel us into a particular direction. That's what concerns me. And we want to keep all options open. Going forward, and I understand the concerns that my fellow councillor said about the advisory committee's recommendation or suggestions, and that's fine, that's good. But I think we also have to take a longer term view. Is this what we want to make sure we get the best outcome we can? And it may turn out to be a completely different beast than what's there now. I don't know. But I don't think we should be sort of saying, well, it's got to, that's got to form part of this, because it could be a separate process, one of which, particularly if the swimming pool goes there, you've got the Mark Stadium and that, but say as a committee of advisory committee, have the skill sets to be able to do that. It's bigger than just looking at the master plan itself. This is something we've got to plan for the future. I think it's important we make sure we have all the options on the table. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, we have a mover in Councillor Sullivan, seconder in Councillor Tatchell. All those in favour? You in, Jared? All those against?
Clarity, we're voting on supporting a recommendation with 1 and 3 only, are we?
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, against.
So we'll start that again. All in favour? Are you in favour of their recommendation?
No, against.
Against? Yeah, against? So with it, if I vote, it's 4-4. So I'm voting within. Okay. So I vote obviously with Councillor Ward for bringing it back as to 13.2. So I vote that is lost. It's lost. Could I use my casting vote?
Yeah, but that's on this, my amended recommendation. Not bring anything back at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Through the chair, for the purpose of clarity, there's been a vote on Councillor Sullivan's motion. And for clarity, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, you're using your casting vote against Councillor Sullivan's motion.
Correct.
We have a foreshadowed motion now to consider, and that foreshadow was from Councillor Jared Bingham.
Sorry, just as a point of order, I foreshadow if both motions were to be lost. So we can hear, it's going to be the same result, but we can go with Councillor Ward's motion.
Okay. So we bring it back?
Yep.
No?
So I'm
Evidence?
Foreshadowing has come from Councillor Bingham. It's Councillor Bingham that must put forward, if it is that he wants it considered, a motion to put on the table.
Councillor Tatchell.
Let's just clarify this. There's a recommendation, right, that didn't go through as a motion.
Yep.
So the only motion that was on the table was Councillor Sullivan's.
Yeah.
So Councillor Bingham has foreshadowed that he has a motion.
Yeah.
So the other one is nothing more than a recommendation. That the Mayor voted with Councillor Ward. I think you were voting for the item.
Correct.
The Chair, Councillor Bingham has foreshadowed.
Yes.
We are as yet to hear what is being foreshadowed.
Yes.
So it's really now up to Councillor Bingham.
Councillor Bingham.
Well, as I stated in my original debate, I would foreshadow a deferral if both motions were to be lost. But if we don't want to hear the other motion, I'm more than happy to move a deferral.
I foreshadow that we'll go back to the original recommendation, should the
where we're
deferral
trying
not
to
go
get to.
through. And I don't know, if you want to swap seats, it might work. But anyhow, let's see how we
Yeah.
go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm happy to support the recommendation, but I take on board, and I don't even know if I can do this, so please tell me, Mr Gallagher. I'm happy to move the recommendation with an amendment, Councillor Sullivan, to change the wording in number 2 to say notes that a review will consider the inclusion. And I think that addresses the concerns that have been previously raised. So I'm happy to move the recommendation with that change. The point 2 will become notes that a review will consider the inclusion of an expanded scope, if I'm permitted to do so.
Councillor Tatchell.
With respect, Mr Mayor, we had a motion a foreshadowed motion to deferral, which we haven't heard yet.
Yep.
And we've gone straight to the recommendation, created another motion while we have a deferral moved. I mean, that's a fruit salad without the pineapple. You know, we need to hear this first. If that doesn't go through, then we need to go to Councillor Ward and then put up your motion. I think
Governance.
let's tidy it up a bit. Yeah, I think.
The Chair, as far as I've heard, only Councillor Bingham has foreshadowed a motion if Councillor Sullivan's was lost. We're now at a point where Councillor Sullivan's motion was lost. We only have one councillor who's foreshadowed, and that is, and just to clarify, you can't foreshadow with conditions.
Yes.
I'll foreshadow a recommendation. You can move it, but I'll foreshadow the recommendation should the deferral fail. Otherwise, we're going to end up with laying on the table.
Okay. All right.
Let's get on with the formalities and the debate. Do we have a seconder?
Do we have a seconder? For a deferral.
On a deferral.
We're voting on the deferral.
Can you make that clear through the Chair, Councillor Bingham? Are you putting forward a motion to defer this
I
item?
move to defer, yes.
Do we have a seconder to that motion? Councillor Minari. Anyone opposed? Councillor Ward, Councillor Bingham.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. If anyone wants to foreshadow that we move to the original motion, great.
Councillor Ward.
I've actually lost track of where we are.
We just need to vote this part out and then we'll get on with the next one.
So okay, I'm happy to speak against
Yeah.
the foreshadow. Yeah,
Yes.
I wish to foreshadow that I will support the recommendation with a slightly alternate motion.
Okay. Anyone else would like to speak? Councillor Minari.
Thank you. As seconder, I just, in terms of the conversation that's going on, and obviously there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of conversation, so a deferral makes sense for me to go back, get it right, and have a conversation in a better space. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak for or against? Councillor Bingham.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Well, I originally foreshadowed a deferral because we had no other motion foreshadowed. So to keep the whole debate live, this is where we found ourselves. We've now sorted it all out. So that's the end of my closing argument.
We have a mover in Councillor Bingham, we have a seconder in Councillor Minari. All those in favour? All those against? It's lost. All right.
So we're back here. We're back here.
Let's give this another go. 13.2, Madeleine Park Master Plan. Do we have a mover?
Mr Mayor, I'd like to move it, please, with a slight amendment to point 2, if I may.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
You want to know what it is, don't you?
Needs to be read out what that is, please.
So I would move that we slightly change the wording to point 2, say, notes that a review will consider the inclusion of an expanded scope.
Thank you.
The rest of it the same.
We have a seconder? Councillor Tatchell. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried.
Well done, Joe.
13.3, Elaine Recreation Reserve Master Plan. Any questions, councillors? We have a recommendation in front of you. Do I have a mover?
I'll move the recommendation.
Councillor Sullivan. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Minari. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 13.4, Blackwood Hiking Hub and Bellan Cycling Hub feasibility studies consultation. Councillors, are there any questions? Councillor Tatchell.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I've got a couple of concerns, and this will come up later too in the Gordon proposal too, that and I read through the document, but I haven't seen anything that relates to treaty and the current arrangements that are being held in Spring Street with regard to these things, and probably not as much in Bellan, but certainly in Blackwood, and it'll certainly come up again in Gordon. So my concern is there's no report on this and there's no information coming back, just that there be some sort of cultural heritage study, which that's far removed from treaty. It's a long way away from treaty, to be honest. So I think there probably needs to be a little bit more work done on this. I'm actually surprised that the local member would make an announcement, being that it's her party that is running the treaty. So I think it's incumbent on them to now provide documentation to say these certain areas within our shire that will be affected. We know that some have been named, but now we need to probably put a bit of tar on the road and try and have some understanding about, because every action we make there's going to be a reaction, and we probably just need to be on top of it. So having said that, I would move to defer it until we get that information.
Defer. Councillors, Ms Minari. Councillor Minari.
Thank you. Second the deferral.
Deferral. We have a mover and a seconder. Anyone opposed? Councillor Ward. Councillor Tatchell.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Look, I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. I think the treaty is far from settled. The committee has only recently been established. I've been all over the state in the last couple of years talking about effects on public lands and probably trying to get a broader picture on where we sit when we make these decisions. And these won't be going through the State Planning Department. They'll be going through a different department totally. And my concern is that, one, we're not up to date with it in terms of what the treaty is proposing in terms of lands that are within our shire. We have a lot of these small settlements that will be affected, rightly or wrongly. I'm not making an opinion on it either way. I'm just saying that we need to be conscious that when we put these proposals in place, or especially things like the Tiny Towns funding, we need to be careful that we don't be spending money where all of a sudden we're going to hit a roadblock. And I think there's not enough information out there yet to be making these calls. A preliminary master plan I don't have an issue with, but I think it's all going to be subject to change. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The reason why I'm against deferring it is I don't want to create a precedent where we defer anything simply on the basis of the question of the treaty. Because Councillor Tatchell's right, we don't know enough about the treaty yet. If we were deferring it on the basis if we didn't know enough about the report, or we had concerns over the report, or we're concerned over the lack of consultation, I would support a deferral. But at this point in time, we still have to govern, and we can't say we're not going to make any decisions now simply on the basis of unknowns of the treaty. So I'll quickly say why I'm against the deferral. I'm against the deferral because the community applied for these tiny town funds, and they've overwhelmingly engaged with the consultants to support this. The consultation activities have included workshops, experience development. The community is excited about this. They've got right behind it. If you go to Blackwood at 9 a.m, as we did recently for the coffee with the councillor, the number of people that are turning up to go hiking are enormous. These two documents do not commit council to any expenditure. However, They are in line with our visitor economy strategy. They're in line with our economic development strategy, which we've approved. And they're all about increasing visitation and economic activity and community wellbeing in our towns. So our towns and our community have overwhelmingly engaged in this, and I don't think we should defer it on the basis of an unknown. Otherwise, we may as well just park the government, local government, until we know more about the treaty on everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Walker. Councillor Minari.
Thank you. I firstly have a question to officers before I speak. Is it my recollection that these two feasibility studies were requested by council in terms of the Tiny Towns grants, not community?
Ms McCullum.
Thank you, through the chair. For these two particular projects, council applied for the funding.
Yep.
Councillor Ward may be referring to the project in Gordon.
Yes, thank you. I did think that was correct. So I'm happy to defer, not realistically in terms of native title claim or treaty. This has been projects that have come from council officers. That doesn't sit too great with my head in terms of whether this room and this group of councillors have not really had much of a say yet in terms of these two plans. So I definitely favour a deferral to have more conversation, because Councillor Tatchell is right. It is upon us, and it is becoming, the treaty, the native title claim is becoming more of a conversation, and I truly believe that we should be pausing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak for or against? Councillor Bingham, are you for or against?
For the deferral.
For the deferral.
Yeah, for the deferral. Yeah, look, short and sweet. Clearly, we have some councillors in this room that are not prepared to make a decision tonight, and whenever there's some hesitation, I'm always in favour of a deferral. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak? Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would actually speak for a deferral. I think the points made by Councillor Tatchell and Councillor Minari are sort of valid. I mean, I understand the enthusiasm of community, but we as custodians of this council have to bear the responsibility of ensuring that we take all these things into consideration. I note that a significant amount of the area they're traversing as part of this is either Crown land and what have you, so there's issues there with native title as well. And I think, and I don't know whether the consultants were briefed in that regard and whether they considered that. My read of the document, I don't think they did. They sort of clearly looked at it from the lens of economic lens and those things, which is fine, and I don't think anyone's disputing that. But nevertheless, we have to sort of pull all these threads together to make sure we achieve the best outcome. And I think I'd rather a late decision than a bad decision. That's all I'm saying at this point in time. It's not to say that council won't go down this path, but I think we have to proceed with caution. So all I'm saying is, councillors, take a bit of time out and just make sure that we get this right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone for or against? Councillor Tatchell. Closing.
Thanks, I'll keep it short. I have read the treaty, and I've probably spent 2 years talking to other councils around Victoria about the potential issues within it, and taking the person that wrote the treaty with me so that the explanations were fulsome and understandable. Now that they have a committee, that may change. There may be items that may change or may not. The overwhelming thing to me is that council's often been accused of reworking stuff because of the current phrase they use in state government, circumstances change. Well, you know, they all love saying circumstances change. Well, I'm sort of suggesting, why don't we just do it properly and we won't have to wait till the circumstances change, because there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this new committee that they've formed, or the council, will make changes, and it may be to the detriment of these plans, it may not. But it's always sensible to find that information out. It could be as simple as writing them a letter. And and then we just bring it straight back in, because where it sits today, I don't see the document in there that auspices what exactly we're going to do without any of the risk factors. I see a risk factor for cultural heritage, but cultural heritage and the treaty are a long way away from each other, and a lot of this is going to be based on their personal views. So that's my reason for deferring it.
Thank you. The recommendation is a deferral. We have Councillor Tatchell as a mover. We have a seconder and Councillor Minari. All those in favour? Carried. (13.5) Draft Events Management Policy. Are there any questions, councillors? We have a recommendation in front of you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Bingham? A seconder?
Question, if I may.
Yes. Councillor
With
Sullivan.
the consultation as part of this, how broadly will we be consulting, given the events that happened in Balan there during the Autumn Festival and that? Do we just sort of focusing on organisations, or are we sort of going to proactively canvass people? Thank you.
Ms McCullum?
Through the chair, we will be using our existing community engagement platforms that are available, so Have Your Say, etc. And we will be consulting with members who have applied for event permits, for example, as well. So there will be a broad approach.
Thank you. Councillor Ward?
I have a question, if I may, Mr Mayor, for Lee. Sorry, Lee. Councillor Sullivan raises a good question about the consultation, I suppose, and noting the concerns raised on the earlier point. Is there going to be additional consultation required if we're going to hold events on land that may be impacted by the treaty?
Ms McCullum?
So I'm not in a position to respond to that one at this point in time, Councillor Ward, but I'll take on note your thoughts.
Okay. We have a mover in Councillor Bingham, a seconder and Councillor Sullivan. Is there anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 13.6, Outdoor Pool Opening Hours Policy Review. Councillors, are there any questions? We have a recommendation in front of you. Can I have a mover? Councillor Freeman. Councillor Minari, seconder, Councillor Minari. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 13.7, Positive Ageing Plan, Community Engagement. Councillors, are there any questions? We have a recommendation in front of us. Can I have a mover? Councillor Freeman. Seconder, Councillor Keogh. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 13.8, Disability Action Plan, Community Engagement. Councillors, are there any questions? We have a recommendation in front of us. Can I have a mover? Councillor Freeman. A seconder? Councillor Keogh. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 13.9, Community Grants Policy and Guidelines. Are there any questions, councillors? Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Obviously, I'd like to move this with an alternate recommendation that has been distributed and discussed in detail last week at the briefing. So the alternate basically is the recommendation as written, but it removes the necessity to have councillors on the Community Grants Working Group.
You want to go through it all?
No, that's what I'm moving. So
Everyone's seen it. Councillor Tatchell? Yep. Anyone opposed? All in? You opposed? Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I suppose I'll speak in favour of the policy as written, but also include why I've made the alternate. This review started in 2022, so it's 4 years ago, and the community grants haven't been updated since 2018. So this policy that has been put forward in this document is not only based on community feedback from the most recent surveys, but it's also based on the review done in 2022 and against the benchmarking of 10 other LGAs. What it showed was that we have a significant underspend and the second lowest subscription rating for community grants. The feedback in general was it needs to be more competitive and streams updated to reflect community needs, that it needs to align with the council plans, and that we'd struggled to attract culturally diverse applicants and projects, noting we do have a growing diverse community. I'm particularly excited by the inclusion of the quick response grants, which has been supported in the 2022 review and now the 2026 review. I'm particularly supportive of that because I don't think we should be obstructionists and ignore the wishes of our community, because we have, and I'll give you several examples, we have cases where very important volunteer-led community organisations may need an emergency response. Other councils provide it. Now, I gave a couple of examples here. We have the Neighbours Place, which is an emergency food bank. If in November their freezer was to blow up and they couldn't store frozen food, all of a sudden those that need emergency food are going to struggle. If they come to us under our current policy, we would be saying to them, sorry, we can't help you because our next round of grants is in April. Likewise, if the athletics club had their high jump bag stolen or vandals broke in and damaged the synthetic turf on cricket nets at one of our local cricket clubs. Emergency grants and quick response grants are there, and they're going through very stringent criteria by the Grants Working Committee, and I think the community has said loudly and clearly in the 2022 and the 2026 review that they would like to see this, and it's in line with other LGAs, so I think on that basis, Mr Mayor, we should support it. The reason I've taken out the recommendation for the councils on the working group is that the VARGO report, Victorian Auditor General report, fraud control over local government grants, recommended very strongly that the public may become aware of specific councillors who may sit on the committee, and to avoid keeping it in, and to avoid this and to keep it purely independent, the clear guideline should be that officers make the recommendations, and then when they need to be debated and considered, they come to all 9 councillors, and we're not then putting the credibility of our grants at risk. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I oppose this because I do not favour the quick response grants. I think there's a potential for abuse. I know it's said that the CEO will adjudicate and be able to expend that money. Those of us who have been on this council for a while remember we had ward funds, and at that juncture they still had to come back to council for decision. If there is to be a rapid response group funding, whatever you want to call it, it needs to be done. Council needs to make the decision. These are public monies, ratepayers' funds. And as such, they need to ensure that they are expended appropriately, and the council is the decision that makes this forum here should be the one that adjudicates whether money is spent or not. It's not a slide on the CEO. I think it's unfair to actually put him in that position. But I think we need to make sure that the council is the body. We meet monthly, so the idea that someone's going to miss out on something is a complete furphy. And the idea that, there's no take-up rate in this particular thing. We set a benchmark of 70% to make sure that projects that don't measure up don't get funded. We've done that for a long time, and I think that's fair and reasonable above all our categories, because this is public money. This is not money that we can just slash around, have largesse and sort of spend it. We have to make sure that it's appropriately spent, and the project, and the 70% mark that we puts rigour around it, ensures that only quality projects go forward. And I think it has worked because the ones that are funded are quality projects, are ones that have worked well. And I think that I just think that this rapid response grant is really not appropriate. I just think it's fraught with danger, and it just concerns me that we don't want to sully the work of our community grants program. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tatchell.
Yeah, well, you can't argue with that, can you, really? but I'm yet to find, in all the time I've been here, and I'd like to think when I came here I didn't have grey hair, but I don't think I've ever seen a community grants process that's perfect, and I don't think we ever will. It's good that it's at arm's length. I agree with Councillor Sullivan that 70% has worked very, very well, and has since probably 2018, I think. The issue is that I don't think we're ever going to get it right. And it's probably based on the diversity within the Shire, where people's wants and needs are completely different. Ultimately, you know, something's a 50-50 in here where you can send it back again, it'll come back with something else that we don't like or do like or whatever. But ultimately, I like the concept that it comes back to council in the larger items. I certainly have reservations about those instant grants, but in consideration that we haven't done it before, as long as it's not set in concrete, I'm quite happy to give it a go, but with some trepidation. I think there's some issues with it, as Councillor Solomon's put out. But in terms of the community grants thing, I think, the chances of finding the perfect community grant in this forum probably about as, easy as me joining the Russian ballet. It's just one of those items that will continually come back with problems, and we debate it every time it comes through every year, where certain items just don't fit. So from my point of view, it's probably time to try something different. I tend to agree with both Councillor Sullivan and Councillor Ward, which is a bit sitting on the fence, but I did second it, and so I'm going to push it through. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bingham.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor.
You for or against?
Depends on the answer to the question of the mover. Just item 4, biannual, depends who you ask. That could mean one every 2 years. Can we change biannual to bi-monthly? Yes. No, every 2 months.
Councillor Ward.
Is that a foreshadow or is that an alternate?
Chair, I believe that was a question.
Yeah, I have no concerns about that suggestion at all.
Where are we at with that?
That's it. He's accepted.
We're good to go?
Just a point of clarification.
Yeah.
So what Councillor Bingham has asked of Councillor Ward, would be he prepared to accept that in his motion? Is that correct, what I'm reading?
Through the chair, I believe that Councillor Bingham has requested Councillor Ward to incorporate a minor change to what has been tabled as an alternate.
Agree to that as well?
Councillor Tatchell.
Okay, as the mover of the alternate, and in response to Councillor Sullivan's question, the alternate, I'm changing upon request by Councillor Bingham, receives a report on awarded quick response grants on a bi-monthly basis instead of a biannual basis.
Councillor Tatchell.
That's fine. I'm happy to second.
I withdraw my seconder and we'll go by monthly.
I firstly like to say that I'm just relieved that we're finally here with this, this actual document in front of us in an OMC. I've been wanting it to get to this point for such a long time. And I'll thank Councillor Ward for amending some of the recommendations, because I do agree that it doesn't sit right for councillors to be sitting on the committee because, for quite a few different reasons, as we've discussed. And I really like the last change too. I think, like Councillor Tatchell said, it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but we'll continue to move through it. Every 6 months, it will be reviewed and talked through, and that's what I'm happy with. Well, the quick response grant will be 2 months, but in terms of the community, the larger grants is every 6 months. So I think we'll be touching base quite regularly on this, and I think that's a good outcome. Thank you.
Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I'm for, I'll get this straight, the alternate recommendation from Councillor Ward with the bi-monthly, and I'm particularly agree with the quick response. Having worked in the community sector for 40-odd years and in council in the community, back in the 90s during the recession we had to have, we did have these quick response type grants because it was needed within the community. Like you're saying, if you leave it for a month, the footy club or something gets stolen tonight, that means they can't do anything for a whole month. The food bank's freezer breaks down, that means what are they going to do with the food for the next month? There are certain times when you need it. It's not a large amount, not in today's area. The grant amounts between 500 and 3,000 would be beneficial for community groups, and I really can't see it getting abused. Like I said, I've worked in the community for 40 years and I have never ever once seen an abuse of a grant that would benefit the community. And if something is stolen, well then they will have a police report with a number. If their freezer's broken down, you've got the freezer sitting there, broken down, melted. So I must say I definitely approve the quick response grants as to what's happened in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Keogh.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm in favour of Councillor Ward's convoluted recommendation. I certainly do have had concerns about our community grant system. I fully agree with Councillor Sullivan in what he's saying, but I also consider that I have full confidence in our CEO to be able to sort the wheat from the chaff. So even though I have Councillor Sullivan's reservations, I certainly will be voting for Councillor Ward recommendation.
Thank you.
Just a question.
Yep, Councillor Sullivan.
With point 4, will the report actually come back to a full council meeting or a briefing?
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Sullivan, it's a good question. I didn't specify. I would be happy with either of those options, as long as we're kept informative quick response grants.
Councillor Sullivan.
Well, sorry, I think if it comes to a council meeting, then it'll be in line with the council, the grant system itself, because they are signed off at a council meeting. So I think to be consistent, it should come back to a council meeting, even if it's for a noting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I fully support that. It's for greater transparency and it's public awareness.
So does that change what you've written up there? How do you want to word that?
At every second month's OMC, it says a report, yeah.
No worries. We have a mover in closing, Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I suppose some may view that debate as frustrating, but I think it's great. Councillor Sullivan's right. They are public monies. And For clarity, the stringent process applied to reviewing grant applications will also apply to quick response grants. The 70% criteria as the benchmark won't change. So if we look at our role in approving a budget, we'll approve a budget that will include an amount for road maintenance and road improvements and capital infrastructure improvements and asset replacement. So we approve the budgets with some detail there, but we don't approve every pothole on every road. So I don't think we need, and we're talking about hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in those cases. So I'm comfortable giving the confidence we have in those assessing these quick response grants in particular against the criteria we've previously signed off of and requiring them to get to 70%. And with the CEO's delegated authority to sign off. Because if we're not happy with it, it'll come to now every second month's OMC, and we can say, "Woof, I'm not happy with that." But the risk for something fraudulent happen is minimal. But I understand the concerns and they're fair points to raise, but I have confidence now that we have something that will respond to the community needs. Thank you.
Thank you. The recommendation is for the alternate. We have a mover in Councillor Ward, a seconder in Councillor Bingham. All those in favour? Carried. (14.1) Property Rate Debt Management Policy. Councillors, are there any questions? Can we get a mover? Mover. Seconder.
I'll second it with a comment, if I may.
Yep.
I just want to commend the work done on this because sadly, with rising interest rates, cost of living, inflation, mortgage stress, increased taxes, this is going to become increasingly necessary. But I think that what you've outlined here, and I say you to the officers in this detailed report, is that there is plenty of support available. There are hold points they can turn to, and their payment plans can be reviewed, adjusted and appealed. So it also allows us as council to meet our requirement to collect the rates to continue our services. So I think the officers in putting this together have struck the right balance, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. We have a mover and a seconder. Anyone opposed? All those in favour? Carried. 15.1 Paddock Creek Master Plan. Are there any questions, councillors? Councillor Sullivan.
Mr Mayor, in light of the conversation had with item 13.4 previously, and a lot of similar discussions, I would move that this item be deferred. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder. We have a mover for it to be deferred in Councillor Sullivan, a seconder in Councillor Minari. Are there anyone opposed? Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think that a lot of the issues, similar issues that were raised in item 13.4 that Councillor Tatchell touched upon are relevant to this particular parcel of land, and probably more so in some instances because of the location of the waterway and the significance of waterway on Crown land. And I think we just need to sort of wait until we have some of that information assessed. I know this is for noting, but nevertheless, it may well be that some of those initiatives that are outlined there may not be able to come to fruition because of those issues, as I said, that Councillor Tatchell touched upon earlier. So I think it would be prudent for us to defer this moment. It doesn't mean it doesn't go forward, but I think just at the moment it's just to defer it. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Can I just ask Councillor Sullivan a question first? How long are you looking at deferral with the treaty?
No, well, I guess it's just a matter of we need to have that sort of considered and put that rule over this. I mean, we just don't know where that might end up. I know Councillor Tatchell is fully more aware of that than the rest of us, but I think it is an issue and we just need to sort of make sure I don't have a time for, I haven't actually sort of noting a time of how long it would defer it until, but I'm just saying just at the moment I think we just need some time out to consider it. And that's not to say that if in a month, a little time down the future, a councillor might say, I'd like to have that brought back, well, so be it. But just at the moment, we just need to have a bit more an assessment. And I think the other thing is too, if I may, through you, Mr Mayor, when this came to the last briefing, two of our fellow councillors weren't even in attendance. I think in fairness, it'd be beneficial to have all the councillors available to peruse it and make it some judgment. Thank you.
Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I would approve this, accepting this recommendation. We're not, the council are not going to be putting in any money. All we're doing is accepting the master plan. And what was said previously by Councillor Ward, the treaty is unknown. We still do have to govern, and this is community-driven. It's not as big as the previous one, the Balan and Blackwood. It is in a set area. And I think the location is perfect. It is community-driven. They have gone out, they have incorporated, they have obtained the Tiny Town grant, and I just feel we can't put everything on hold for an indefinite period. We still, like we've said before, we still have to govern, and I think it's a great plan. I understand it's in a perfect position. If I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Mr Jeffrey did say in the briefing that it is a perfect position. Is that correct, Mr Jeffrey? Bill?
Mr Jeffrey.
Through you, Mr Mayor, well, it's an existing site in the centre of town, so yeah, it's just a master plan for that site.
I fully agree that this should proceed.
Are you foreshadowing a motion if this is lost, if the deferral is lost?
What can I defer? What can I... I'm sort of lost tonight, all these deferrals.
Yeah,
I'll go for a recommendation.
it's the original recommendation.
A recommend.
The original recommendation that had been noted. Councillor Minari.
As Councillor Sullivan said, unfortunately, there was 2 councillors away. Away from that one too. So there's a lot more questions that I have. There's a lot more things that have to be considered. There's lease land that has to be considered, native title claim, quite a lot. And this waterway is one of the only pieces of land that the native title claim may affect dramatically. So in terms of it, and this master plan hasn't got anything to do with council. So I'd like to support the deferral because it's just the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Minari. Councillor Bingham.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Question of the officers, but Councillor Minari actually touched on my question. But is there an active or potential title claim for this parcel of land?
See you.
Through the chair, not that I'm aware of for this particular piece of land. I think the issue around the treaty is the uncertainty. So I'm not aware that the treaty has generated any claims within Murray Shire Council at this moment in time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to? Councillor Ward, are you for the deferral or against?
I'm for the deferral, but for reasons I'll outline, if I may.
Yep.
I want to start by commending the Friends of Paddock Creek who have put this work together and done an outstanding amount of work in putting this report together. In general, we need to and we should recognise the value and contributions of community groups. We rely heavily on volunteers. Anything that's volunteer-driven tends to be important in having more resilient, cohesive communities. So I think I think I commend them on the report, and I'm certainly not against it, and I'm not voting for the deferral because of the treaty. As Councillor Freeman said, I don't think we can stop governing because of the treaty. What I do, the reason I'm supporting the deferral, in line with what Councillor Manari said, is that I hadn't seen this until last week, and some questions had been raised, which I think we need to further consider. So I'd be happy just to support the deferral and bring this back, because it's not that I'm not supportive of the plan. I think they've done some outstanding work. I just need to learn a bit more about it, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. Anyone else would like to speak? Councillor Tatchell,
Thanks, Mr
you're
Mayor.
for the deferral or against?
Yeah, I'm for a deferral. Just to clear things up here, the treaty is written. It's not in process. It's actually, the native title and treaty was written a couple of years ago. So what the deliberation is the land council that's been produced in Spring Street. If you read the treaty, it actually talks a lot, and we've spoken to the 12 councils that sit in the middle of Victoria that were all affected in the immediate case by the document, and there was a lot of discussions about what the core of that problem was, or the reasoning why public land was takes such a precedent within the document. And a lot of it's to do with water, and a lot of the discussions that were had were to do with water. And in fact, Paddock Creek was mentioned on native title as a prospective site. Now, no one's denigrating the work of the volunteers, but we certainly don't want the volunteers to do a whole heap of work that needs to be redone again, which would create a problem and people lose interest. So the treaty document is available. What isn't available are the people that sign it off. I mean, they've only just formed, and it's an interesting cluster of people that probably all have different views on how native titles should be structured. And indeed, Country Victoria will have their say at some point, and there will have to be some sort of negotiation. It won't be just about cultural heritage, or this will be about the actual process of the document that's written. Now, it's a meaty document. It takes, you're not going to read it in a day. You're going to take a few weeks to get a handle on it. But the key component, and why Paddock Creek is so important, is because of the watercourse that's there and the water storage. There's also some heritage there because it was Gordon's original swimming pool that was part of that process. There's also the geological surrounds of the mineral and spring waters that travel through to Dunstown, through Gordon, from Goulburn in New South Wales, that have all been mapped. It's a very, very complex thing. What I'm suggesting is not a long-term deferral. What I'm suggesting is that write to the relevant people, say this is what we're proposing, to see if there's any objections to it. I'm not talking about cultural heritage, just to say this is where the committee that has been formed want to do the work. Are we going to have a problem within what you're discussing and what's within that document? And then combine that with the document that's here, and then the volunteers won't do a heap of work and then all of a sudden be told to stop because of whatever reason. So that's my reason. It's not to create a problem, but we could create a problem further down the track. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Tatchell. Councillor Kerr,
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
you're for or against the deferral?
I am for the deferral.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I fully agree with what Councillor Tatchell is saying is why we should have a deferral, but also I'm in the same boat as Councillor Ward. I've only been aware of these plans for a week and have not had time to digest them thoroughly. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak for or against? Councillor Sullivan, closing argument.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No one is sort of denigrating the work done by volunteers or this particular group involved in this along the Paddock Creek, or the Friends of Paddock Creek, I think they call themselves. But council is the committee of management for that site. There is no doubt about that. That council has responsibility as a committee of management. And the document's very aspirational, I would say, my read of it, my limited read of it. But I think at this particular time, we just need to make sure that I'd hate to see the community's aspirations dampened by something which we know may be there. And I think Councillor Tatchell's point about writing to these bodies and just say, this is what we're looking to do and to get a response from, I think it's a sensible approach. It's a common sense, proactive approach. So really, we're not sort of saying to close this down altogether. We're just saying, look, let's just take a pause and then assess the situation, and then we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. The recommendation is for deferral. We have a mover in Councillor Sullivan, seconder in Councillor Minari. All those in favour of deferral? Carried. Fifteen point two, response to notice of motion number 351, electric vehicle charging stations. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Keogh.
I move the recommendation.
Councillor Minari.
I just got a question,
Yep.
please, to officers, obviously. In terms of money, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I just want it confirmed. So in terms of putting this down as a document endorsing it, would you say that it would be, in a sense, we're not going out to look for a company and we would wait for a company to come to us?
Mr Jeffries.
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes is probably the short answer, but we already are being approached by not only private companies but the power companies as well.
Thank you. Yep, that's all I needed.
Thank you. Is there anyone else with a question? Anyone like to second it? Councillor Freeman. We have a mover and a seconder. Anyone opposed? All those in favour? Carried. 16, other reports, there is nil. 17, notices of motion, there is nil. 18, notice of rescission, there is nil. 19.1, Mayor's report. Councillors, do we have anyone to move that? Councillor Freeman. Councillor Ward. All those in favour? Carried. Councillors report. Councillor Sullivan, do you have anything to report?
Mr Mayor, I have submitted mine to council already in writing. There's just one thing I would like to just touch upon, if I may. I attended the MAV regional delegates meeting on Friday the 17th of July, and one of the things that came up was what's happened to our neighbouring council to the north in Hepburn, where civil action had been taken against councillors, and as a result of that, councillors had to stand down to a point where there was only 2 councillors who actually stood down, and also as a result of that, the CEO had resigned as well as a result of the attacks on him, which is unfortunate, and it sort of showed a weakness in the whole local government process, where councillors were, even though there was a civil action against them, having to stand down, and with no charges weren't proven or anything like that, and they couldn't even function because no meetings, no quorum for a meeting. So it's just sort of something, and I know the MAV is working in that space. So I just wanted to make that to the councillors update them to that effect. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Councillor Keogh.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have issued my report in writing, and I have no extra matters to report.
Thank you. Councillor Tatchell.
Nothing to report here, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Minari.
I will submit my report tonight and nothing to report, thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Bingham.
Negative on the reporting front, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I have submitted my report and no further issues. Thank you.
Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a couple of quick ones. I'd like to recognise Perry Urban Victoria. They recently put in a submission to the Productivity Commission about housing targets and basically putting the onus on the state and federal government to ask local councils, to assist local councils in putting in the necessary infrastructure to help them get those targets, and that funding must be put in place in sequence before homes are built. So well done to Perry Urban Victoria. There was a great article this week that came out, Acting Chair Owen Sharkey, but we all know our colleague Councillor Moira Berry's been doing a lot of work for them over the past few years and has been the chair for the last couple. So well done to Perry Urban Victoria. I also want to, I didn't get a chance to commend Councillor Keogh on the EV charging, but I also wanted to note the work that Councillor Bingham did 6 years ago on the EV charger, and I think we're due to get a EV charger in the service station in Gisborne Road by March next year, which is great. So, and my final one, I never comment, Mr Mayor, on the, this is correct, it's a terrible precedent, on the departure of officers, but I want to congratulate Catherine McClay, who recently left Mirrabul to take up a well-deserved opportunity with the state government. I've worked very closely with her over the past 4 or 5 years on some very big projects, and her work for the community in particular on the Vic Transmission Plan, Vic Grid and the Western Renewables Link, battery storage, aerodrome and other major projects has been enormous, and she's really helped us through some difficult and challenging projects and provided clarity and reassurance, and not just given us advice, but given us in many cases peace of mind, which has been really important. So I wanted to recognise and thank Catherine for her service to Mirrabul and wish her all the best in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said, Councillor Ward. Can I have a mover for that councillors' reports? Councillor Kerr. A seconder? Councillor Minari. All those in favour? Carried. Number 20, urgent business. We have 8 councillors, but are there any questions that councillors would like to ask? Councillor Sullivan.
I will kick the ball off.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions, if I may.
Yep.
My first question is, when will we receive, when the report come to council on the lease agreements of council properties, assets and leases to other parties, and with the report to include the terms, termination dates and amounts paid, and also market valuation on these properties to determine what subsidies groups are receiving? So when are we likely to have that come to council? That's the first one, please.
CEO.
Through the chair, I'll have to take that on notice. We have that work completed, so I'll just take a look with the diary tomorrow to find a date for it.
Very good. You've got a reassurance it's coming to us. Thank you. My second question,
Yes,
Mr Mayor, is
Councillor Sullivan.
when will we receive a report come to council with the use and allocation of council's 238 meg water licence, which comprises 178 litres of high reliability and 59.6 of low reliability, which costs us $75,000 a year. And I'd also like a report on who uses that water and whether people who use that water are paying us appropriately. So when is that coming to council?
CEO. Mr Jeffries.
Let's pass to Mr.
We did a
Jeffrey.
report on the water policy, which incorporated all of that. So if a further briefing is required on with some more information, we can facilitate that.
No, I think the briefing didn't, the policy didn't cover the specifics that I'm inquiring and wanting a response to.
Mr Jeffries.
Well, it's a report we'll have to develop and bring to council in due
Okay,
course.
thank you. I'll look forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Keogh, any questions? Councillor Keogh.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have no questions.
Councillor Tatchell.
I just have one, Mr Mayor. It's in relation to Mequicare. We had one of their agents in here not that long ago, the DAC, objecting to the reduction of car parking on the development. And it was discussed on that evening that maybe Mequicare could lead by example and probably stop parking all of their cars in all of the car spots that are around the hospital. It's continuing to happen, and I noticed yesterday morning there's a lot of people that are actually incapacitated or very, very elderly that are walking large distances to get to the hospital or the clinic or the aged care centre, because over a third of the car parks that are available are filled with Mequicare cars. Now, they've done a fairly large development there, and we're pretty big on parking. I think the paradox is that they've come in and complained about somebody else doing something. I think it's time we sent a letter to their CEO and just remind them that it's not good business for your hospital to fill up car parks when people usually go to a hospital for one or two reasons, because they're not well, or if they're going to the aged care or being removed from aged care, they're incapacitated. I mean, people of all people, Mequicare would understand that, I would have thought. But maybe they just need a little bit of a nudge if we could have a letter. Mr CEO, that's all I got. Thank you.
I see you.
Happy to do that through the chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Minari.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bingham.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just one question. As council officers are no doubt aware, we had a recent car accident, Leary's Road, Blake Court, took out a tree. So my question is, do we have any intentions to replace that tree? And if so, how long would that take?
I see you.
I'll have to pass that to Mr.
Mr. Jeffries.
We'll have to take that on notice, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. You happy with that? Councillor Freeman, any questions?
Yes, thank you. Actually, Councillor Tatchell just reminded me of a similar thing at the Bacchus Marsh Hospital. I'm continually getting complaints from residents around the area of all the cars that are being parked in the streets behind the hospital. We have spoken about this to the hospital before. The heliport where the helicopters used to land is not used anymore, and there's a huge bit of land there. Why can't that be turned into a car park? Can a letter go to the CEO requesting a car park, please?
I see you.
I'm happy to arrange that letter. I think you're correct. We have raised it in the past, but I'm happy to raise it again.
Thank you. Councillor Ward.
No questions, Mr Mayor.
The next ordinary meeting of council will be on the 2nd of September. We will now clear the gallery and move into a closed session. Thank you. Yeah, but we'll wait for them to go out. Yeah. Councillors, we'll move to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a mover to adjourn the meeting? Councillor Ward, Councillor Freeman, all those in favour of adjourning? Yep, adjourned. Thank you. Yeah. We'll go with it. All right, let's go. Joe? Councillor Keogh? We've got Councillor Minari's not here too. We'll vote to resume the meeting. Get someone to move it. Councillor Ward. Second, Councillor Sullivan. All those in favour? Carried. We move now to go into a closed session. Can I get a mover for that? Can I get a mover for that? A second, Councillor Ward. All those in favour? Carried.